And welcome everyone. We are live here up on YouTube. This is Paul. Welcome to Life Coaching for All. It's Tuesday, the 8th of September, and I look forward to see who's joining us tonight and to interact with you. Really great to have you with us, and thank you for spending the time. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we offer live classes on our coaching and on processes called self-mastery, etc., etc., and things that really are of general interest to people who wish to work on themselves and develop themselves as people living and working in a world that can be at times extremely challenging. So welcome to today's class, and today's class is entitled on how to create real action and build a bridge to attain success in our lives. Of course, we need to look at these aspects of what success really means for us as an individual, because here at Life Coaching for All, we do not feel that one system fits all. Although we have some basic layouts and processes that we always apply as we're going along, literally we understand that each person and each client that we are working with is a unique individual with unique outlooks, unique perspectives and processes. So hopefully tonight we're going to talk a little bit about realness, about creating actions in our lives, and start to work on attaining just success and understanding that particular aspect and the difference between the two. You know, if we truly are able to accept at times that we all need that extra guidance or help from people, then we're going to need to look a little deeper into our understanding of what action, success, and what building a new reality truly means for us. So I'm going to start off tonight's class by saying, let's start by asking this question of you. How is the remainder of 2020 looking for you? I ask this question both categorically and also in a real way, asking that you really answer this in an authentic and real process within you in terms of your own perspective, because this is what is unique to each one of us, is our perspective. And if we can turn the perspective into a powerful way of making some shifts and transforming the status quo, things begin to change for us. So if you get some time, please, give us a comment, talk in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. Now, without denying ourselves the emotional context or other experiences that may be present in our lives, of course, it may take you some time to be able to fully get a grip of understanding the depth of this question. But if you wish to use the comments box, as I've said, please feel so inclined, and it just gives me an idea where you are at personally, and it allows others to interact. So feel free. There's no right or wrong in this particular process. It is simply a sharing process, and it's a good space for us to be able to get a conversation going, which is what our channel is completely about, creating a process where we have a space that people can actually work with, on multiple levels. So, we still got 4 months of the year left. And if we could learn to do the right things, then we can end the year with a much greater aspect of internal and outer success for ourselves. And of course, some deep happiness needs to be brought into play. There's a lot of people incredibly stressed and traumatized right now. And, we honor that, so we need to look at it. And naturally, we've also seen that there are multiple humorous memes rolling around suggesting that we should just write off 2020 altogether. So sure, we can try to do that, but at the end of the day, that's just giving up. And that's not viable. So let's just forget about that for now. And truly speaking, we cannot also, in all authenticity, pretend that it all has never happened, can we? We can't do that. I'm always rather bullish about the future. I believe in living a good life, and I believe that humanity has the ability to respond to anything and they're able to rise above the status quo. In fact, I also know that I rely on that too for myself. I also do believe that, behind the stress and the hard work that is required to get through into the next levels that we know waits for us, that this could also be the best time we've ever known to build our most exceptional year whilst we are busy upgrading our skills and building our talents. we really need to figure out how to lead our field, how to enhance our creativity. And for many people, it's also about learning to build that new way forward as the old falls away. And this takes an immense amount of energy and power in order to do that. So my next question is going to be, asking you, how does anyone actually keep their focus trained on the multiple opportunities that are available to us to bulletproof our mastery, or perhaps, even grow a business that serves more people whilst living a life that's more creative, joyful, and kind? And Nico and I and our team are busy building a completely new business behind the scenes as we're going along as well. And we are enjoying it because it is creative. The opportunities are fantastic, and we can see how others can be helped through that particular process. And so we look forward to launching that as soon as we possibly can. If this year has been a difficult one for you and for many people, of course it is, we know we need to change course now. We both and all know that next year could be a repeat of this year if we just allow it to continue and to roll. We also know that the future begins from the moment that we truly decide to create a new future for ourselves. And we need to focus on this exact moment in order to do that. So here's the question, and tonight's many questions. Can you really afford to let another 2020 happen when you know that you deserve so much more? I mean, that answer itself is going to be very, very clear. So do you share it? We'd appreciate hearing about it. Let's go into this class's subject matter. Define the difference between what I call real action versus something called visualized or imagined action. And what does the word actually mean? Ironically enough, it points towards something that is real and not merely just a possibility or imagined, and it exists in absolute fact. It's what can be known or seen to be correct or precise, and not which is false or just apparent. Sometimes people daydream about these particular aspects of reality that they're trying to create, and they actually mean to do something about it, but they never truly do because they keep imagining and they're not moving forward into the state of actuality of that particular process. So again, if we talk about false or something that is just apparent, then we're going to have to define also the aspects of what is real versus the words and experiences which we call fake. As an adjective, authenticity describes something that is real or genuine and not counterfeit. In addition, it describes something as real, and the word authentic describes something that is reliable, also based on fact and fully believable. So that's an important point to understand, that our reality and the understanding of what we can develop as a reality has to be believable to us, because otherwise we will be trying to work towards attaining something that we actually don't believe in. So just to add to the structure of what I'm sharing with here, the true meaning of this conversation is about us enriching ourselves with the process of doing something, especially coming into action in order to achieve a particular outcome. We need to get to an end result. And taking action means that we actually do something to deal with a problem or have a realization that gives us the opportunity to work towards an end result. Does that make sense? Of course, we would have the opposite experience when we fail to act, quite naturally, because through a lack of action, we have to endure the same thing over and over again and again. And we don't need to do that. We don't need to take what we have experienced in 2020 and move it over into another year or another calendar year or another process altogether. We need to learn the lessons and make some shifts within ourselves so that we don't need to learn those lessons any longer that 2020 are bringing to us. Whilst we may all get stuck in the same lack of action at times, perhaps thinking that we are in a state of action even, we can employ various checks to figure out if that's perhaps happening in your particular life. And I'm going to talk about those particular checkpoints in a short while, but ultimately, we do need to transcend all these non-real actions and factors if we are to rise above what we may be stuck in. And how do we figure out what is real and what is unreal in a world that is throwing different aspects of us, asking us to believe that it is real? So suffice to say right now, if you are experiencing a catch-22 or feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place, then you should be looking to see where your understanding of what real action is versus any other type of action. Where is your understanding on that particular aspect? I really suggest is that you write these things down and just ponder on them for a while. Because, as I head up, the checkpoints that I'm going to be sharing will bring out our authenticity. They will require us to transform our way of doing. And whilst other points and aspects that we want to work on may make us feel busy and real, we are in fact keeping us stuck right where we are in what can be felt as an ever-tightening comfort zone. So, for example, today I was at a government office, in a revenue office close by where I live, and because of the lockdown and regulations that they've all installed into place, you literally are sitting amongst a process where they're not doing anything but pretending to actually work. And they have fooled themselves that they're actually doing something by creating a situation. And it was like sitting amongst a group of, I'm going to go for it here, a group of zombies, if you can say, that were just staring out at everybody that was sitting around. And their rules and regulations were so tight, they were no longer workable on one little bit. So again, I had to leave there with no assistance and no guidance. And that seems to be the status quo. That seems to be where so many situations and so many working force people find themselves in, is that they're on this conveyor belt system or a line where there's no reality to it. There's no outcome. There's no end result. It is just that they are processing information and pretending to do something. And as I looked around me today, I realized that the level of internal happiness that these people were living in was non-existent in every single mode or model or aspect of how they walked and talked and worked and reacted and responded was on a level that was not productive to their own happiness. And I'm going, well, what is the particular point? So we need to be careful that we don't keep getting stuck into this ever-tightening comfort zone where we are thinking that we are doing something, that we are feeling that we are achieving something. Meantime, we are just processing information from left and right, and we haven't added our own actual life energy into it. So we're going to talk more about these points of authenticity coming up. Stay with our channel, please. We really love having you with us. And if you've got some comments and to share, we really would like to hear from you as you're going along. A lot of people ask us, of course, why we do this, why we coach, share, and work with people. Well, if we take it down, it's a simple two-factor answer for us. The first answer that I'm going to share with you is that we want to help you rise to your own greatness amongst what I term the messiness of our lives. And I've just described some of that particular process, in terms of where I was today, in terms of the experiences I had. And this rise to a world-class life, a world-class process, can be a completely messy sport, absolutely. But it's truly also the best game that any one of us will ever play. In fact, it's the only game to play. And we get to choose, we really get to choose how we can interact and play that particular game once we get our perspective into place and we make a decision about it. As you reclaim your bigness amid the global turbulence that we all experience, and as we learn to express more of our creativity in a way that is more freeing, we also get an opportunity to step out into the world in blazing, absolute, wonderful, huge glory, incredible. So for us as coaches, it's a magical sight to see someone step into their fullness and their wholeness. And that is really most rewarding to see happen. So yes, we have also seen that anyone who chooses to live in this full potential, in their fullness, may possibly be misunderstood by many around them. They will question themselves. They will be copied. They will be mocked. They may even be suppressed. because those truly dark forces called up by our insecure critics try to keep us down as much as they can in order to increase their own power by decreasing ours. And I mean, that's just something we need to start to recognize, is that not everybody in our boat is rowing our boat in order to get us to another shore. Some are actually drilling holes in our particular boat. And so we need to define and look at those particular aspects and people in our lives and then start to work on it. So do understand that, in living your highest ambitions and in learning how to materialize the potential that you have sleeping inside of you, and especially in these hard times, it's not a game for amateurs. It really isn't. It's for the pros. It's for professional people. Now, let me define that, because that's the second factor that I'm going to now comment on. If you are ready to become more of a pro at living the game of life, then of course I'd love to help you to discuss that. You see, it's an amazing process in that by working with my coaching clients, their journey then forces me to evaluate my own life. And I have to then look at how I may have possibly been hiding some of my talents away from myself and the world that I inhabit. And none of us have been born to hide those talents away. You could say that, my coaching clients force me to look at life in a more real, authentic way. I've learned through this that life really has our backs when we allow it. The world wants us to win. And I'm totally, with you in celebrating that point, because that in itself is a huge gain towards success. Just understanding that. Because when we can fully realize this point, it becomes a reality that supports us in our bridge building to success efforts. So here's what I'm doing right now as a way to show you my encouragement for your ability to rise up amidst the messiness that we often find ourselves in, globally, countrywide, nationwide, and individual-wise. But if you wait, you're going to miss this gorgeous opportunity to discover precisely how to end 2020 on a world-class level. And I'm going to invite you by saying right now, let's start our work together to do this. If you're really, really ready to massively accelerate your success in this turbulent world, whilst improving your life, increasing your happiness and lifestyle, and taking advantage of these opportunities that we are offering, before you miss it, then let's look at it a bit deeper. I'm doing this because I want to help you rise to your own greatness. I want to give you the opportunity that you may have missed, or things that you may have not been ready for, even understood at any one point. I'm offering you an opportunity to discuss with us your ideas of how you really can lead your field, how you can live more generously and more openly, and also lift up our precious world in the process. As we change, the world must change and adapt and alter. That's just an energetic frequency and process that we need to truly understand. It's not all wrapped around us. The door is opening for us to walk through, and as we walk through that particular process, the doorway has to fall away and a new world must emerge. We're not here just to stand in a stuck doorway all the time. So you see, when you discover things about yourself, then I too have had to walk that same path of self-discovery too. It's the beauty of this work that counts. But we work with each other to get to another end result, to change what we need to change. But it's also good to remind oneself that we are all on the same pathway and journey, but we're just at different stages of the game, and we are learning to play it in different ways according to our perspective and the way that we need to actually play the game for ourselves. I've honestly learned that the best way to move forward is to ensure that I'm always working on my own actions in a real and transparent manner, in a way that I can see. Your coach should have your back and care about you on so many different multiple levels. So I'm suggesting now that if you want to build that bridge towards your own success, then it's time to get real. It's time to express your own honest authenticity through discovering your own ability to find the doorway to your self-mastery. When you're ready to reach out and work towards achieving that point of greatness that you have within you, then I'm happy to give you a 30-minute call to chat with one of us here at Life Coaching for All. and we'll provide clarity, and we'll openly appraise that which you can do for yourself and talk about that. It's amazing how much we can cover in a 30-minute call. And here's those points of realness that I said I would be sharing earlier in this class. All our goals and our inner work and self-mastery need to follow a really smart way of processing our focus in order to find a way towards the word I think I'm looking for, towards creating a way that's more forward from what has been holding us back from achieving that life of positivity, of self-care, and of course, of achieving abundant growth on many, many levels. So I'd like to share these with you. And these are points that will form the cornerstone, the very core of all the work we do with our coaching clients, because it makes complete sense when we start to apply them point by point. In order to establish this real plan of action versus the imagined or pretend action, we need to put into place the following aspects. And number one, we need to create specific goals that work for you. We need to look at the end result, and we need to define what specific goals will enable us to actually achieve that end result. And that reduces the amount of work and gives us a more specific amount of work that we can do without overloading us. And number two, the goals need to be fully measurable. Otherwise, what's the point? If we cannot measure our goals and say, well, look, this is what we've done, this is how we can get there, we need to create a gateway and doorway open towards something, and we need to be able to measure that process for us. Then we need to understand that having measurable goals is very, very important for us. And the third point, it's got to be practical. The work that we do has got to be attainable. It's got to be practical. It hasn't got to be out there. So we have to change our complete inner concepts altogether. All we need to do is adapt our perspective to a point that we understand the work is practical, there's an end result that we can achieve, and that it is attainable. And number four, we also need to create goals that are absolutely relevant to our own personal situation in life, not anyone else's. As I said right at the beginning of the class now, this is not a conveyor belt system. These are individuals that we're speaking about. And we fully believe and understand that the power that any individual can take on for themselves then changes the world altogether. As we change, everything else changes. And that's a little mantra that I shared with you as we went along. And lastly, the work should also be time-based. We should be honoring the times that we need to do the work in. It needs to require us to respond within a proper and accurate timeline, and not just left to chance or when we're going to get to it. It needs to form part of our daily lives so that we are working day by day to change a situation and gain an end result. And once we take that reality and we are honest and authentic with it, then we start to work in much smarter ways. So that's the smart points that we would work with on any one person at any one point. Of course, please look for our booking link. It's shown below in the comments. We're going to respond to your request to chat with us about what we would suggest could work for you to attain that more successful process of getting yourself unstuck and moving towards a newer future of your own making. This class is really about creating the bridge to success. So let's work on all of that as we're going along. Absolutely exciting. Here's another big question. Are you ready to get real with yourself? And that's something we need to look at, need to identify, we need to understand it. So even a 30-minute class or call with us on getting real with yourself and understanding the different aspects of realness versus visualized actions is going to play a big role for you and will offer you a huge amount of work. These points above play a huge role in creating a new way of being based in that authentic, real, and honest person, based on the questions that you get to ask of yourself. So please remember that it's only real action that builds the bridge towards our own success. Realness is the only thing that counts. And in doing so, and in enhancing this, we learn to become authentic towards who we are. And that's a completely different, powerful life changer. It changes the game altogether. Remember earlier on, I said that we get to change the way that we want to play it. The alternative or imagined or visualized actions that may be holding us back and keeping us in that catch-22 situation are very, very apparent when we ask ourselves that question. And then we can just delete what is no longer relevant. So as we come to the end of the short, I'm also asking you to please hit that YouTube bell and subscribe to our coaching channel here on YouTube so we can continue to provide more gems of guidance and offer new classes to you, and of course anyone that you care to share this video with you, and we'd appreciate that. So please share accordingly, and let's build up an interactive audience so each week's class or each evening's class, the Tuesdays and Thursday classes, can be much more interactive between us all, and let's form a community around this. Because when one person benefits, then many others can also do the same. So we appreciate if you could do what we call a share care of the content in our channel right now, and thank you for that. Perhaps you've seen in today's class that when the right questions are asked, the answers provide the way forward, and I hope you've learned something from that, that you're able to use for yourself going forward tonight and in tomorrow. We really look forward to asking you some specific questions so that you too can create that new reality that defines the person that you can be. You just need to rise up in a real and authentic way, and you need to develop SMART goals. And working with us, we can support your journey into what is essentially a journey of authentic and real self-mastery. So thank you for joining us, and until next time, from us here at Life Coaching for All, I'm Paul. Love and respect to you all, and goodbye.